welcome to the Dunes. We are doing a sand and recovery course. So we've got a few guests over here, and Francois, we're in collaboration with Francois from All Terrain 4x4. So together we are going to do a sand and recovery course in the Dunes, like I said, and we're going to get going. We're going down that way, just on normal driving for now, and we'll get into more detail a bit further.
Thank you, welcome. Can I just ask, don't be ashamed, anybody first time driving sand? Okay, some people are lying. Okay, so today is not about seeing how fast, how high, how big a dune we can charge out. Today is especially because we've got novices and we all started somewhere, we all started at the bottom. So we're going to take it from the very basic. So apology to those people who've done it before. Missing most of the dunes for now. And then we're going to get to a spot right in the back left-hand corner. Hopefully there's nobody there. Unfortunately there's no demarcated zone available to anybody here. So we're going to stop there and then we're going to start with the discussions. Confirm you've all deflated to 1 point?
1.5, 1.2 around there.
More or less somewhere around there. Normal on-road pressure?
2 bar?
2 bar?
2.2.
2.2. What should the normal pressure be? How would you know what the correct pressure is?
It says it on the door.
It says it on the door. If all else fails, refer to the manual. But of course, if you've got accessories on your vehicle like he's got, then the weight of the vehicle increases, which will require increase in pressure in the tyre. So if your normal on-road pressure is, let's say, 2.2 bar, you're going to have a contact surface of X length, okay, depending on what type of vehicle, what size of tyre, etc., etc. What happens when we deflate the tyre? Does the tyre become wider?
It becomes longer, doesn't it?
Wider and longer, I would imagine.
Can you take rubber and stretch it?
But doesn't the bulge?
The bulge, yes, but still the tread pattern. So if this is the tyre itself, there's the tread pattern. The moment we deflate, the tread pattern stays the same, but the bulge becomes bigger. But that contact surface is still the same. You want to float on top of the sand. The moment the tyre cuts into the sand, it causes resistance. Then what happens? Your vehicle works so much harder. Equals more fuel consumption. Equals stress on your transmission. Whether it is manual or auto, you're putting unnecessary stress on it. So here's a test that you can do. On a flat-ish surface with loose sand, if you drive cruising at 20 k's an hour and you take your foot off the accelerator, manual, depress the clutch. If that vehicle immediately slows down and it stops, it means the tyre is cutting into the sand. Too much resistance, tyre pressure is too high or too hard. The other thing that will happen, of course, is when the tyre pressure builds up, apart from potential damage to your tyre if the pressure aren't correct, is of course that the car is going to struggle. So every time that you stop, you actually need a gauge and check your tyres if you don't have that onboard monitoring system. Okay. Because it changes continuously. What would you say for, we're going to go through all the vehicles now, except maybe for 2 vehicles. What would you say be a safe minimum pressure in your tyres?
For here or on the road?
For here. No, for here.
Minimum, safe.
0.3
before it comes off the road.
Oh, safe.
Oh, safe.
0.8.
0.6.
0.8 for most.
Okay, 0.8.
I'd say 0.6.
It's about 0.8 on average. If you've got a normal set of on-road tyres, remember that sidewall is very thin and flimsy and floppy. The moment we start to deflate, it forms a bulge and it does this a lot more. Because it's an on-road tyre, it's not a very harsh, durable tyre for this type of deflation and off-road conditions. Okay, so then the lower I go, the less air, but also the less pressure in the sidewall to keep the tyre on the rim. So for them, definitely 0.8 is about the lowest. Okay. But the moment it becomes more of a rugged type of off-road tyre, the tyre that's specifically made stronger, stiffer sidewalls, then you can go a little bit lower, 0.6. What's the worst thing that can happen if your pressure is too low?
Debead.
It can debead. On the front tyres especially. Because the only thing that keeps the tyre on is the air. Now you drive and you turn, that sideways force on the sidewall can very easily push that tyre off the rim. The moment you get to a 60 profile, that's the profile height of the tyre, and less, your deflation capabilities becomes less. Because that tyre firstly is an on-road tyre. It is actually a soft tyre. Again, sidewall issues. And also, the more you deflate, let's say you've got this much rubber, you deflate, Yeah, you've got this much distance between the surface and the rim itself. Although it looks soft, there might be sticks and even stones somewhere underneath here. So then you can potentially damage your rim also. Okay, so your deflation capability becomes less. Like a 50 profile, the Ford Everest, just an example. Ford Everest with a 20-inch wheels, it's got a 50 profile. If you deflate to 1.2, you are already very, very risky of causing damage or popping the tire off the rim. And it happens a lot. Okay, so it differs from vehicle to vehicle. The important thing, I guess, the message I want to bring across is tire pressures are crucial, but you must know your vehicle. Each and every vehicle is different. You can have exactly the same cars, but the weight is different. Okay, that will influence also deflation. Alright, so what I want us to do now is we're going to go through each and every vehicle. We're going to briefly look at tires, type of tire, just to discuss it, okay? And then also talk about what would your safe deflation pressure be. And then we're going to look at a very, very crucial thing, which is called recovery points on each and every vehicle. Because that's part of what we're going to do today, is recovery. Okay. And a recovery point is, of course, a safe, suitable, rated point on your vehicle where you can do a recovery from it. Alright. Okay. And as you go, you can turn the steering wheel left and right for you to try to get a bit of a bite. Don't over accelerate. Keep steady pace. Keep steady pace. Be patient. Be patient. You are winning. You are making progress. And there we are now. If you over accelerate, you dig yourself down. Obviously, I think the best course of action would have been gone back and then get a bit of momentum. But we just want to demonstrate what we do. Don't let anxiety force you to over accelerate. That's what we tend to do. Be slow and patient, turn the steering wheel. As we are moving forward, we are winning. We are winning. Be patient. Believe in the car. Believe in yourself. Okay. If I attach a rope here and I pull it, it's going to break it. It's just a wind deflector. You're not even going to notice if it's not there. Okay, so rather take it off before the time, chuck it in a boot, and then you know it's not damaged or you lose it. Okay. Alright, so you've got two rated, factory fitted recovery points behind each of those two flaps. Okay, right, let's look in the back. Is this a recovery point? Absolutely, absolutely, never, ever. Did I say never? Please remind me. But never, ever, ever use this as a recovery point. This is a tow ball. It's not a recovery hook. This thing is designed like this so that it can actually break off if your caravan or your trailer rolls, so it doesn't take your vehicle with you. Short story, I'll share a lot of stories with you today. Most of them aren't nice. Many years ago, at some off-road challenge day competition something, a old Hilux bakkie got stuck in a mud pit. Another guy came, so the vehicle was quite low down. Another guy came, and before anybody could stop him, the snatch rod was already attached to that Hilux front end. Before anybody could stop him, the guy climbed out, he hooked it over this ball, and off he went. This ball broke off. It hit the bonnet, through the windscreen, it hit the roof, out the rear window, and then hit the tailgate that it stood like this. There were 4 guys in that car. Nobody was hit. But just imagine it did hit somebody.
No, it's like a bullet.
Yeah, it's a bullet. Yeah. This is not a recovery point, please. But you've got a problem. So how can we solve or address or make a plan in his case? He's got no recovery point. So please don't get stuck today.
Super shackle. Super soft shackle.
Around the whole tow bar.
Yeah.
So I can either do something that I can fit around here.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely potentially going to damage this. If I maybe on this side here, plastic. So something is going to give way. Something is unfortunately going to have to pay the price. Or you can replace this with what is called a drop pin. Like the old trucks has got this. So it looks like a claw. It stands like this and it's got a pin that goes through it. So you take the, you've got one on. We'll have a look when you get to Uwe's car. You take the pin out, put your whatever in and the pin in. But remember, this thing is 3.5 tons rated. So it means that is for general recovery. A little bit at a time. Okay, so that is short-term solution. Obviously, real-time solution would be to have at a reputable company to have a recovery point fitted. This is a recovery point.
Specifically, my name is a recovery point, a tow point.
This is a recovery point. It's fitted on the chassis. It's factory fitted.
I have the same on the 2.4 Hilux, but the manual says it's just a tow point.
It's a recovery point. It's exactly the same as that car. These are the same. It's a recovery point. There's nothing else.
I don't have the facts.
Some vehicles has got under bumpers, they've got hooks. That's recovery points. Can you use that? We'll get to my car and we'll have a look. Yeah, I guess you can. But what bolts are used to put this on? There was a video going around about a year ago. Guy that was snatched on the dunes. The whole bumper came off.
What?
Yeah. So make sure that so this can be very pretty, but is it attached properly? Okay, so yes, you've got two recovery points in front. Tires. So immediately my side will, you can see the tire becomes more square also. So this whole profile shape here becomes more square. So I've actually got more tread pattern on the surface compared to an on-road tire that tends to be more rounder. Okay. That, by the way, is for cornering characteristics. So high profile, so easy without a problem. It's not real bead locks, is it? No. Easy deflation to 0.8. Maybe even to 0.6. Okay. This vehicle is stuck here. The only way to reach it is from there, from that direction. So I'm going to pull it in that direction. It's the only way we can do it. Will this last?
Should.
These things bend like nothing. They bend like nothing.
Use a cradle.
Bridle.
Bridle.
Even then, they bend.
Is it?
Yeah, they bend. So, apologies, I'm just being honest about it. This must be at least this thick. At least 12, 15 mil thick. At least to prevent it from bending. Can I use this hitch receiver for a recovery, guys? So they call it Rusty's nut.
Rusty is our Jack Russell.
Yeah, and apparently he had nuts at some point or another.
Yeah, in remembrance of Rusty.
So this is typically where you can use your hitch receiver if you don't have any other recovery points. Okay. So make sure obviously you've got the suitable pin. This is high tensile. Okay. Put this through. And then obviously you would attach it. So now that shearing force on this pin is now distributed over big. So immediately it makes this stronger. And then just as a normal soft shackle, I put my snatch rope or whatever through and I attach it and bob's your uncle. Zero weight. You get those hitch receivers, some of them aluminium, some of them steel, you slot that in. Where do you store it? Now it's flying around.
Yeah.
Your pin is not strong, the pin shears and then it's a bullet of note that comes towards you. This is light. Okay. Anything in line or attached straight to your chassis is the most ideal recovery point there is. Because that's the strongest thing in your vehicle is the chassis. Okay. Good. Questions? Almost at the end. Yeah, I'm getting a workout today. Okay, we're already at the tuna in terms of the front recovery point. Behind these two wind deflectors, your recovery point sits there. Even a small little incline like this might be an obstacle. An obstacle is something that will require you to change something. Speed, gear, tire pressure, maybe the expression on your face, but something needs to change. That is only one vehicle at a time in an obstacle. Because even something can break and that vehicle runs back without out of control. Okay, it can happen. But please, following distance, and we'll chat about that as we go along.
When you're doing a recovery, you have a few things that is in play. One, the vehicle pulling you, if they don't have good traction, they have to get some momentum, like a run up, and they have to get momentum and then tug you out of the hole or the rut that you're stuck in. When doing that, if the rope doesn't have any stretch in it, it's going to yank very hard on your vehicle, on your recovery points, and something might give, something might break. But a 12-ton rope means this rope breaks at 12 tons. Your vehicle weighs about 2.5 ton. You can go up to 4.5, maybe a 5 ton vehicle max with this rope. So it's very versatile. Some people might study a thinner rope, like an 8 ton rope or 6 ton rope. The problem is when you're doing a kinetic recovery in sand or mud, the heavier vehicle in the recovery has to be taken into account. You might have a light vehicle, it doesn't weigh much, it's stuck in the sand, and this big vehicle with lots of power comes by. You're dug in deep. He doesn't know that. He hooks you up and he just goes. He's got a lot more momentum. He might break your rope or something else. So that's why we standardized on the 12 ton rope for most 4x4 vehicles. In our recovery kits, we always pair them with a fuse soft shackle. I'll explain to you now. So typically you get metal shackles to connect a rope or to your toe point on the vehicle, that metal D shackles. We move away from that. We now only use rope shackles. This one is rated at 7.5 tons. It actually breaks close to about 10 tons plus minus. And the idea is that this soft shackle, you connect your rope to your recovery point on your bumper or on your vehicle. You just push it through and you close the knot. The reason we call this a fuse soft shackle, and not many people do this, this is something that we decided we want to do, and I'll explain now why. This will break before this rope breaks. Now when you're doing a recovery, in extreme cases, something's going to give. When you reach the maximum breaking point of the towing of the vehicle or the rope, what's going to break first? Do you want your vehicle to break? The recovery point to break? Do you want your expensive recovery rope to break? Or do you want your consumable, the soft shackle, to break first? So in our case, we say if you want to mitigate your risk and say, I'd rather have the shackle break before the mounting of my vehicle breaks, then you use the soft shackle, the fuse soft shackle. It's still very, very strong, but provided that you have a rated recovery point that is decent, stronger than, let's say, got a 12 to 15 ton braking strength, then this will give before the rope or the metal mounting does. Reason why you want that to happen, besides protecting the rope and your vehicle, if your recovery point breaks, you have a piece of metal that will shoot towards the other vehicle. This will still, might dent the other vehicle, might still break the other vehicle's window, but you have a piece of rope that shoots back and not a piece of metal that shoots back. So it's a bit of a safer option. When you're setting up your system, you need a stronger soft shackle. We have the 18 ton soft shackle. It's a lot thicker, a lot stronger, and in this case, this will last. The rope will break first, or your recovery point might break first. So we use these when we want to make a connection that mustn't be fused. It must be a solid connection. Then we use an 18 ton soft shackle. Now in a kit, you get various options. There's lots of gear you can throw in a kit, but at the minimum, you need a rope and 2 soft shackles. One to connect to your vehicle, one to connect the rope to the other vehicle. That said, if you have a vehicle where you don't have, like Marcus's rated recovery points, rated meaning there is a sticker on it, it tells you this will break at 15 tons or 12 tons or 20 tons, then we use a bridle. The bridle is we have a compact bridle. It breaks about 15 tons or more, and the idea of the bridle is to spread the load between your 2 recovery points on the front. So you have these 2 points. You can use a fuse shackle if you want to. I just use whichever shackle I have available. Connect them to the 2 recovery points on your vehicle in the front, and then it creates like a triangle. And what this does is it spreads the load. So you don't have all the force pulling on the one side. You now have the load spread between the 2 points. But also, which is important, it pulls the vehicle in a straight line, because the rope is now centered in the middle. As soon as you tow or get recovered from only the one side, your wheels will be pulled out of the track, so you lose traction, and you don't want that. What you can do also, you can hook a fuse shackle between the bridle and the rope as well. Just sling it around like that. So on your vehicle, you're going to have this tied down, and you have that connected. So then you can still have a fuse between your bridle and your recovery rope. Now, this nylon rope can stretch 30 to 35%, maybe 40% in some cases, which is a lot. That's a lot of stretch. with a lot of stretch also comes a lot of danger. So with kinetic recoveries, I think Francois will talk about that, about how to position yourself, how to stay clear of the ropes, because if something does break, it's a lot of force that's in that rope, and you want to stay clear of that. But it is in nature. You always have to be aware that if something does give, what could happen and how can we keep it as safe as possible. So less is always more, which means even before doing kinetic recovery, we can tell you about the gear and everything, but always make sure, he's going to explain that again, but dig out in front of your wheels, make sure there's no obstruction. You want to pull as soft as possible. One last thing, the kinetic rope, Francois will explain that as well. There are some principles you have to keep in mind when using it. If you use it in an improper manner, it can cause a lot of damage to you or to your vehicle. But it is the most effective way of doing a recovery in sand. It allows the vehicle to gain some momentum, and what happens is the rope also does some of the work. And people don't realize that. Your vehicle weighs about 2.5 tons, so you have a vehicle that's stuck, you take 5 meters, you gain some momentum, you pull on the rope, and the weight of the vehicle pulls forward and the rope will stretch. But what happens when it stretches? It wants to shrink back again. So you have the force of the rope shrinking. It's also helping to tug on that vehicle along with the momentum of the vehicle and the engine driving forward. So your pulling capacity, your pulling power is a lot more with a kinetic rope than when you're using a static rope. We have the Rassie's nut, which we showed you earlier. This is what they typically look like. The Rassie's nut, the only reason we did this, there's other products on the market out there that is all metal, all aluminum, but they're quite heavy and it's bulky. It's heavy in your vehicle. Tinus, he didn't like I have the metal block from another competitor that I actually use, and Tinus didn't like that, so he came up with the idea of putting a bushing with a soft shackle. This is a 26-ton soft shackle. It's plenty too strong. Most of those metal recovery hitches you buy, they break at 16 tons. So this is stronger than that. And what this bushing does is it spreads the load. Now we talked earlier about the pin in some of the tow bars. So this spreads the load evenly across that pin. So your weak point at that stage is either the pin or the tow bar on the vehicle. But in all cases, it is our own responsibility to know the limits of our vehicle and how strong our mountings are. And if you don't know, then you go and find out so that you at least know what you're looking at.
This is the main rope, the one that you've got. This is the snatch rope. There's the bridle. 2 fuses.
At its strongest when you have it in the corner where the knot is. Alright? If you do it like this, this will pull tight and this knot will bend over backwards and pinch the rope. Where if you do it in the corner, now in this case, what will happen? This will pull forward, so it will pull on the knot. Okay?
Keep it close.
But if I swap it around to the other corner, now it's got a 90 degree, this rope, it's got 90 degrees to the knot, which is even better, pulling it like that. Now in this case you can feel, it doesn't have a sharp corner from laser cutting. It is chamfered, not a lot.
No, but it's smooth.
But it won't cut through it easily.
We just finished with the basic 4x4 training, so we went through tire deflation, how to deflate your tires, what pressure, and we also went through Rusty's recovery kit on how to use a soft shackle, their tow ropes, their snatch ropes, dynamic ropes, static ropes, all things like that, and how to recover a vehicle. So all the basics have been gone through, low range, high range, sand track mode or sand mode. So we are now going to hit the dunes and start driving in the dunes to get them actual seat time behind the dunes so that they can get experience of how to go up over the dunes and navigate them. So let's see what they've learned and if they will take it to the driving seat now.
Where these dunes are dropping off. And when the wind blows like this is the dangerous time of day. Okay. Sometimes it blows almost 1/2 meter of sand on top of it. It looks like one flat piece of sand. because that sand continues over the crest for another couple of meters before it will go down. That's where you go, and then suddenly nothing there, and you go like this. Okay, so please, whenever you want to drive and negotiate, you need to be aware of what is in between. And if you do not know, then you have to stop and go and have a look. What you have not inspected, you have neglected. So go and let's have a look at what it's like. All right, so now we came with like a, let's say the angle that I am at, not focusing, I'm focusing there at the distance, and I continue driving, suddenly this gives way. You're gonna hit the brake. So already the vehicle is at an angle like this. I apply the brake, and this wheel just digs in even more. The car does this. It's all sorts of wrong things that can happen. So I want to go, if I'm from there, I want to turn sharp to the right, because 90-degree angle with the crest of the dune. That's my descent position. Take your foot off the accelerator. There's really no need to brake. If you want to brake, just gently feather the foot brake. Because if you apply harsh braking, the car's going to dig in every time. As it digs in every time, it's a little bit of a slide. Okay, a vehicle that slides is out of control. Yes, now I sound very hoarse. And please, steering wheel straight. Fight that urge of wanting to turn in a direction that I've got no intention of going to. All right, just enough speed so the car doesn't dig in. Okay, continue driving. When the vehicle is level, you take your foot off the accelerator. Gravity will let it go forward a little bit, and then the nose will drop. And then off the accelerator. If you want to gently feather the foot brake, but don't harshly apply the foot brake, and steering wheel straight. So as you approach, you see the line of the crest of the dune? Okay. Some of you maybe need to come a little bit wider around and go down. We don't all have to come down at the same position. You can see there, that approach angle down there is far better. It's got a more gradual slope there than here. But the crest itself is far sharper than here.
Look at that. Yeah.
So it's everywhere. There's no one fixed rule. It constantly changes. And tomorrow when you're back, the dunes is different because the wind changes and shifts the sand all the time. Okay, happy? Questions? If you're not happy, we'll just nut you down. It's fine.
Looks so lonely.
People leave me behind all the time. I don't know. I did something wrong. I don't know what it is. Must be my sparking personality. Thanks guys for stopping so far. What do you call those? Backsacks.
Nope, incorrect.
Backsack is just a brand. Traction boards, traction mats, call it whatever the heck you want. The idea then is that you put this in front or behind of the wheel in the direction that I'm going, so that the tire can get grip on this in order to move. I can take my set off. It looks I'm a bit ashamed of it, but it's bent in all shapes and sizes because we use these two on top of each other most of the time to fill up or to make a bridge over a deep rut. You are stuck proper, all four wheels basically hanging in the air because you've spun too much and you're lying flat on your belly. The whole vehicle's weight is on its belly.
Yeah.
So you are going to dig, but what are you going to dig?
Or phone a friend.
No reception.
Radio friend.
And you jack the car up, okay, on the axle or on the wishbone in front.
Yeah.
Jack it up this much. That's where you need a base plate. You need a long enough lever. That's why these bloody tin, a lot of nonsense. Get a hydraulic jack, okay, and then you lift it just this much. Put some sand underneath it or whatever else you've got, even your floor carpets in the car. But the most important thing is, of course, you would like to prevent yourself from getting stuck. But whenever you're in that tough situation, take your time, think about it, assess it, and address the issue. That's an accomplishment by itself.
Remember the pass rate is 30%.
Yeah.
And there we go. We have successfully completed the 4x4 sand training course. So thank you to Francois who handled this training for us. And tell me, how did these guys do today, considering there were 3 here that have never done 4x4ing before?
They did very well, and the reason why I say that is that I I think people get intimidated so much by the peer pressure, but also influenced by stuff that they see online, social media, things like that. So considering that, the fact that some of them tried more than others, but that tells me that they put safety first, not gung-ho first, and considering at the end of the day where we started, where we ended up, I think that exceptionally well. So yeah, really proud of them.
And what is the most important thing for viewers now about sand driving or dune driving? What is the one most important factor you always tell everyone?
There's a lot, so to choose a single most important one is difficult. Obviously there's technical stuff and then there's driving related stuff. Technical stuff, tyre pressures. Tyre pressures, we saw it today, makes a huge difference. But in terms of the actual driving part, it's a mental thing. Rather do it over than overdo it. Do not, especially if you don't know the area, don't go guns blazing. Be cautious, safety first. So yeah, be careful and think logically about things. What you can't see, you can't go and drive. So yeah, rather do it over than overdo it. I want to stick to that phrase for the day.
Cool, yeah, thank you. So Francois from All Terrain 4x4, he does 4x4 training. We've done an event before with him at Zevenwacht at his premises, where they've got a specialized, there goes the pump, where there's a specialized 4x4 training facility there. And now the dunes, and we're planning to do a gravel one as well, just to teach people about gravel driving, and it's taken for granted how easy something can go wrong there, just to give people insight on that.
Yeah, gravel road driving is probably the most neglected part of any fitment in a overlanding perspective, because we spend so much time on the tar road but then also on gravel roads. So yeah, definitely prepare safety first, so gravel road driving is next on the agenda, definitely.
Cool, thank you very much for today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I want to say thank you to Marcus as well. He's our radio sponsor for this trip. So he does the MTech antennas, MTech as his shirt says over there.
I'm a cap, yeah.
So you did our radios for us today. We didn't use it that much, but it was handy in a spotter point of view where Francois had one and the vehicles had one inside.
Correct.
So we can also maybe touch on that subject, on how important it is for a spotter to be able to talk to the drivers.
Yeah, so for instance today it was a training course, so Francois was out standing on the crest of the dune with a hand radio. Each vehicle had either equipped radio inside, or we gave them a handheld radio, and that involved that let the spotter that made the spotter able to talk to each vehicle, to be able to tell them left, right, back, forward, what to do if they're stuck. And it did help a lot that someone didn't have to run to the vehicle the whole time to tell them what to do. It just made the training aspect so much easier for Francois.
Yeah. So Mirko, you've been a regular guest on our tours. So how was this one? It was our first 4x4 training course we've done. How was this for you?
No, I think I found it very interesting. There's always, like new things to learn. You always think you know everything, and then there's always gaps to fill in from a practical experience as well as from the theory part. So, it was a lekker day. It was really nice, great people. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun.
And how's your new rig now that you've set it up with the bumper, the winch, everything else? How's it handled in the dunes?
Yeah, so I must say, obviously I took it out now. The very first day I was basically working on that car tirelessly for the past 6 or 8 weeks. So I finished Friday at 10 p.m. or Saturday. Still a couple of things during the day. So so far it handled very nice. I think I can tweak a little bit on the suspension, where I have obviously the regulator, how you call it, from comfy drive to hard drive, etc., etc. You need to get used to it, but you can regulate a lot by just reducing the tire pressure on these conditions and where we have been today. So
So tell me, how did your vehicle handle in the dunes, and how was the day for you?
My vehicle handled perfectly fine. Like I said, it's a GD6, so it's got the right badge in it, so it performs well. Soft sand was quite nice. It was quite powdery. Combination of tire pressure, the right tire, and also a little bit of experience. But otherwise, it was very nice. So vehicle handled perfectly. I think it was an awesome day. Me being a fairly experienced driver, I did learn a lot today as well. So it was a very nice top-up course to just enlighten me on certain topics I didn't know anything about. Yeah.
And what is the most important thing you learned today?
Most important thing I learned today probably with the recoveries, about the forces involved and the weights involved, something you don't really think about, and then certain etiquette on how to drive and how to cross dunes, how to come down dunes. That's something I'd never learned previously.
Pumping up your tires, you must just check that you don't pump them up too much. So I must just check that I'm not going to put too much in, but I think we have another 10 or 15 seconds to go. and then I might just stop it, and then I'm using the Indiflate, which is quite cool. So obviously I'm gonna put them up now to 2.2, 2.3 because of the heat, and then I just, with the Indiflate, which is very nice, they balance each other out, so I just give them another minute or two, just obviously that they're equalized, I think is the right word of doing it. So here we are. So now we're sitting at 2.3 and 2.1, so we now just let it equalize, and then we should end up at 2.2 on each.
Everyone seemed happy, everyone enjoyed and learned a lot. Even the people that know what they were doing, it's always good to have extra seat time and to learn new skills. So yeah, everyone's busy inflating their tires at the moment. We're done, we're inflating tires and getting ready to get home. And yeah, that is our first jaunt trip of 2025. We are going to do a few more. We've got 11 more plans, or one a month. The next one we are going to the Tankwa Karoo, just a scenic drive. So that's going to be a lot more scenic and just normal gravel roads. So I hope you guys look forward to that content over there. Yeah, cheers.